Okay, what up ladies and gents, it's your favorite Asian robot right here, hopefully your favorite Dark Tide YouTuber, and today, I'm actually shooting this right after stream, because I didn't actually have a video for today. People have asked me to show them my bolt gun build for the veteran. I'm going to tell you straight up that this build has a lower win rate than any of the other builds out there. If you really want to play it, that's on you. Okay, you have to accept that. Why does it have a lower win rate? Because in order to make this weapon effective, you are going to have to use Executioner's Stance instead of Voice of Command. This drastically lowers win rates in random games because Voice of Command is a great way of saving random teammates that may not be skillful at the game. It can help them in mistakes against snipers, pox bursters, all that kind of stuff. Lacking that is bad. That and the bolt gun is difficult to aim. So, with this build, although you could technically destroy most opponents, like so, alright, the bolt gun has a lot of recoil jerking, so at a distance, it can be more difficult to aim and more difficult to actually hit your targets. It's also got a long reload, so unless you happen to reload exactly on the kill, your skill will end before the bolt gun, like before you reload your next mag in, alright? But overall, it does work and it is strong. Just remember, like I said, when you fire without Executioner Stance, your bolt gun's gonna jerk all over the place. So you're gonna want to be quite practiced at using a bolt gun for this. However, okay, all the negatives aside, you can kind of roleplay as a Space Marine with this build if you really want to, okay? So for this particular video, like I said, it's not gonna be as in-depth. I'm actually gonna run through it as quickly as I possibly can. I'm gonna explain my choices, and here is what I was running today. Okay, you would have seen it on stream anyway. I can link you to the stream if you want to see the gameplay. Okay, first and foremost, I've got Close Order Drill, Confirm Kill, Stamina Boost, Toughness Boost, and then I went for Shredder Frag Grenades. Now, on the left-hand side, Long Shot, Volley Adept. Long Shot, because you need to unlock Volley Adept. Volley Adept, because the bolt gun has one of the slowest reload speeds. At least this way, after you kill an elite or specialist, you reload faster. Shredder Frag Grenades are great in case you get swarmed, especially by a swarm of bulwarks. Yes, you can kill them all with your bolt gun, but still, sometimes having shredded frag grenades is very useful, especially if you need to res, things like that. Range damage boost, you grab Catch a Breath here, Survivalist as always. This is pretty standard because the bolt gun is very ammo inefficient. Running in an Auric, Damnation, and Maelstrom, you are going to want Survivalist to keep restoring your ammo. Okay, reload boost. Kill Zone is my preference here. I tried out Opening Salvo. You can go either way, but I prefer Kill Zone. As long as there's no range enemies within 8 meters, your bolt gun's going to deal 15% more base range damage, which really helps it to compete with weapons like the plasma gun, revolver, because those weapons have a much higher base damage anyway. Okay, Executioner's Stance is the thing that brings the bolt gun up to snuff. Now, when it comes to Executioner's Stance, it will give you 25% increased range damage and range weak spot damage, and your spread and recoil are greatly reduced. This is what will help you shoot accurate shots at like waves of specialist enemies, taking them all out in one hit, one hit, one hit. That's what you want. Okay? You highlight human, elite, and specialist enemies at base, but you want to also grab the bigger they are so that it will highlight Ogryns as well. Alright? Then Relentless will help you refresh your stance every time you kill an enemy that has been outlined by it, so you can keep your stance going for longer. From the left-hand side tree, I went with range damage boost, Precision Strikes, because if you can't hit the head, why not? Deadshot here. The Deadshot is a must-have because outside of Executioner's Stance, this will boost your not only your criticals, but as long as you've got stamina, it will reduce the sway and the it will just reduce the sway of aiming down the sights with the bolt gun, which is a major help. Fully loaded, so that you have more ammo and having more ammo will also help you restore more ammo. Yeah. Oh, I didn't camera vanish. Oh, sorry about that. Too lazy to reshoot this, but never mind. You guys can live with it for one day. Superiority Complex will help you deal more damage against elite enemies, which is what you want. This will help you against the Ogryns. On the right-hand side tree, you go for the Emperor. So whenever you use this, for about 5 seconds, you've got boosted base range damage, which is great. Tactical Awareness. Every time you kill a specialist, your ability is going to cool down faster. Iron Will is a must-have. This helps you reduce your toughness damage as long as you're above 75% toughness, and since you don't have Voice of Command to give you over toughness, this becomes very important. You want to grab Demolition Team as your only means of restoring grenades. You're not going to use them as frequently, so you don't need Demolition Stockpile. This saves you an extra point. You want Rending Strikes because this is so crucial and so good. Bring It Down as well for Monstrosities and Ogrins. And then you've got Focus Target as well as Target Down. Target Down will help you replenish toughness and stamina, which is necessary for Deadshot, and also it's necessary to survive since you cannot go Exhilarating Toughness on this. Okay, this is basically the build that I'm using. Now, in terms of your weapon loadout, here's what you're going to need. Okay, in terms of weapons, what you're going to need is your Power Sword. Why the Power Sword? It is one of the best horde clears in the game. Normally, the Power Sword is also to supplement your anti-armor, like, for example, dealing with Crushers, Muties, things like that. But here, it's mostly for hordes. Now, of course, it's also great for dealing with Muties, but it will be less effective against bosses. That said, you already have the Bolt Gun, which is greatly effective against bosses so long as you've got the ammunition. So your Power Sword supplements your horde clear, all right? What do you need on it? Standard, Brutal Momentum, Power Cycler, Carapace Armored Enemies, Maniacs for me. This is what I've chosen as perks. The most key is your Power Cycler and Brutal Momentum. And of course, a Power Weapon helps you play out that Space Marine vibe. Stats-wise, Damage, Finesse, Mobility are my top priorities, always. Then Cleave Damage and Cleave Targets, anything above 60 is good enough. All right, so that's what I've got. For my range weapon, I went with the Bolt Gun. Obviously, there's only one choice. Now here, I happen to have Pinning Fire and Shattering Impact, both of which are extremely useful. I would have preferred Shattering Impact 4, but 3 is good enough. And Pinning Fire will give you more power every time you stagger an enemy, which is pretty good. And the Bolt Gun staggers pretty easily. In terms of stats, I went with Unyielding for boss damage and, of course, for Anti-Ogren, because everything else gets killed easily anyway. Range Weak Spot damage was something that I rolled naturally with it, and I just kept it there. In terms of my actual stats, I went with Damage, Stability, Mobility, Reload Speed, and Collateral. All of this is what... Sorry, I went with Damage... Oh, Lord. This is why I shouldn't shoot videos late at night. I went with Damage, Stability, and Reload Speed. Mobility and Collateral are not as important. Damage, Stability, and Reload Speed are your primary stats. Reload Speed, because the Bolt Gun has an extremely slow reload. Stability, it has terrible sway, okay? So if you have low stability, your sway is going to be huge, which is vomit-inducing. And damage, obviously, that's the only stat you have here. You don't have stopping power, so you have to take as high a damage stat as possible. In terms of mobility, you don't need to worry about this as much, but if you happen to roll high, it can help your spread when moving. But again, that's not really necessary because when you're firing this thing, you should be crouch firing anyway, all right, to keep the sway as low as possible, or stationary. Stationary and crouch will give you the best accuracy. All right, so just keep that in mind. That's it for your Bolt Gun stats, and now we move on to Curios. For your Curios, what you want to do is the following, okay? Oops, sorry, didn't mean to go into that. For your Curios, I went with Toughness, Health, and Stamina. However, I'm going to tell you right now that you can replace the Health with even more Toughness if you want. Why? Because having more Toughness means that the amount above 75%, the 25% where you have that additional 50% reduction, is a larger bracket, which is extremely helpful, especially when you're dealing with range targets and you don't have the over toughness of Voice of Command. So if you find that you don't have enough toughness with this build and you want more, drop the health, go for toughness. Yes, it'll make you more squishy, but it would give you a much bigger toughness shield to play around with. All right. In terms of your perks for the Curios, I chose to go with damage resistance gunners across the board, except for the stamina Curio, but I'll go into that last. So damage resistance and toughness regeneration speed. Why? Your veteran is often close to allies, so toughness regeneration speed is beneficial. Your third perk, it's best to go with, for example, on the toughness Curio, I went with toughness. On the health Curio, I went with stamina regeneration, but that's just because that's what rolled on it. Otherwise, I would go with health. You don't really need the stamina regeneration. All you need is one stamina regeneration perk, which is on your stamina Curio, and here I went with toughness and max health on the stamina Curio to assist me in reaching higher levels of max health and toughness. You only need about 2 damage resistance to gunners. Oh god, my mouth. You only need 2 of these to reach the maximum effect. You can go higher, but you really won't need more. I've tested in numerous runs, and the difference between having a third one is extremely minimal, so I just went with toughness instead. Alright, that is about it for this build. In terms of strengths and weaknesses, I'm just going to go through that really quickly. What you need to understand about this build is that, like I said, it has a lower win rate. Why? Because there is a prep time. Every time you pull out your bolt gun, there is a prep time. You have to do this animation first before doing anything else. More importantly than this, you've got a very long reload time. Let me not kill an elite, right? Here's what it's like when you're slowly reloading. Okay, that long reload animation feels like forever in the field. More importantly, if you don't aim down the sights right, you end up spamming a lot of ammo very inaccurately. So in order to use the bolt gun, right now, the best way to use it is actually to have Executioner stance on and then aim down the sights for maximum effect. Alright? Go get headshots and you will kill targets very fast. This is the ideal way to use the bolt gun, as opposed to doing this. So you really only want to do that against bosses where you're sure that you can spam close to their head. If you can get all the shots on the head, then sure, spam fire is great, but it's really unnecessary. Even for bulwarks, the most important thing is just shoot one shot and then start going for the head. Okay, the first shot opens up the shield and the rest of the shots will kill him. If you've got Executioner stance, even better. Alright, they usually won't last long. You can kill off a good few targets this way and keep your Executioner stance up. Reload as soon as you kill, and then you may even get a chance to keep it up for longer. So, although the reload speed is long, with tactical reload, you can basically get another salvo. I've actually managed to keep it up quite often in this manner, as long as you can instantly get another kill. Alright, so the bolt gun requires prep time, steady hands, knowledge. It's a lot harder to play than the plasma gun. When you play the plasma gun, just aim in the general direction of the target and it's gonna die. The bolt gun is like, no, you have to actually aim on target and actually shoot, so just be careful of that. You also have to be aware of the fact that because you're using a power sword, your dodge distance is a lot less than what you'll see on, say, a chain sword or things like that. You have a negative dodge distance modifier, which is known for pretty much anyone that plays the power sword. If you look at the stats here, your dodge distance is minus 12.20, which means you have less iframes than using other weapons, such as the chain sword. And because you have less iframes, if you're not used to it, you may dodge poorly. So my advice is when you're playing this, please, if you really have to dodge a lot, that's okay. Dodge, dodge, dodge. But make good use of the jump reset to dodge even more. Alright? And remember that the power sword, if I'm not wrong, has 1 less dodge than all of the other weapons. Yes, you have a dodge limit of 4. And this is with a mobility of 78. You cannot get more than 4 dodges. So unlike other weapons, which have 5 dodges, you've only got 4 on this. Be careful. Alright? Other than that, the bolt gun is pretty fun if you really want to roleplay your Space Marine dreams. And because people really wanted this build, here it is for you guys. Please enjoy. Alright, thank you very much. I'm going to forego the thank you segment, but I am going to thank a few people. Death Dawning 982. Frederick, thank you so much. Alright. BVS, thank you for sponsoring Rogue Trader. And to all my channel members, love y'all. I'll see y'all in the next video, okay? I'm going to go pass out now. Enjoy the bolt gun build. Do whatever you want with it. Have fun. I'll see you on the next one.